Hey everyone, it's Noel from the Enduro Bureau, and just before we get started with this week's episode, I want to let you all know that the 2024 Team Canada ISDE Gold Fund raffle is getting underway this week. There's going to be 750 tickets available. There'll be 6 winners, and there's 6 prize packs up for grabs, including 2 separate 2024 Husqvarna TE 150 bikes, an FXR Moto gear kit, a Callus Moto gear kit, an M7 Designs graphics kit, and a Podium graphics kit, all up for grabs. If you're interested in getting in on the raffle and supporting the team this year, head on over to Canadian_ISDE on Instagram, or you can buy tickets from any Canadian team member. And if you don't know any and you want to get involved, you can reach out to Renee at isdegoldfundcnd@gmail.com. Tickets will be on sale until the raffle is drawn at the Corduroy Enduro on September 21st. So don't miss out on your chance to get one of these wicked prizes and support Team Canada ISDE. Thanks a lot, and now, on to the episode. Hey, it's Noel from the Enduro Bureau, and welcome to our latest episode. We've got a really special guest this time. Going to be the 3rd Australian we've had on the podcast already, which is, we like to keep it in the Commonwealth, seeing as we're Canadian. So I'm really, really excited to welcome Josh Strang to the Enduro Bureau podcast, an Australian rider, GNCC champion. And I think I read 25 career wins now in GNCC.
Yeah, honestly, somewhere there. 24 or 25. I can't really remember.
Yeah, pretty wild. Your last one was the final round last year at Ironman, which is, if you're going to win one to round out a season, that would be it. Huge one. You've been an ISDE World Trophy champion with Team Australia, full Gas Sprint Enduro Series champion. And most recently, you won round 4 of the FMSQ cross-country series up here in Canada, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's we got in touch last week just before the race, and here we are. So I've been at it a fair while. Originally from Australia, I've been in the US now. Well, this is my 18th season. So it's been a while.
That's crazy. 18 seasons of off-road racing. It just goes to show, kind of the one thing I like to always point out is longevity in the sport and how possible it is on the off-road side.
Yeah, I think it's just all depends on how you approach it as well. Like I see a lot of burnout here in the last few years. A lot more people taking it a little more serious. I've always not saying I've never taken it serious. I feel like I've had a good balance of work and play, I guess, or I've treated it like a job. So once I've done riding for the day, I'm done. Where now I think there's a lot of people that are getting kind of they're getting trained more than what they're getting paid. So I think they're getting a lot of burnout, and I think their careers are lasting shorter than mine, and they will be shorter than mine, I believe. But that's just how it is. I still love doing it. So for me, it's not a chore. Well, that's a lie. Sometimes it's a chore, but but for me, it's like I still enjoy it 90% of the time.
So yeah, I was mentioning just before we got started, your kind of your origin story is pretty well documented. You're from Australia, your dad had a shop, and that's kind of how you found your way into the racing world, I guess.
Yeah. So my parents had a motorcycle. They still own it in Australia, and it's got to be going on 50 years, I think, that they've had that. So it's crazy that it's been that long. But yeah, just doing that, grew up riding and racing locally, and then kind of wanted to do MXGP was the goal. I just didn't cut it in the motocross world. And then I'd always dabbled in enduro and off-road in Australia, and I was able to do some stuff and have some good results in Australia, and then moved to the US in 2007, and I've been here since. So
yeah, pretty wild. When did that transition happen to the off-road side? Can you tell me a little bit more about when and how that went down?
So my old man was he raced for fun, never did anything super serious, and I think he was more of like an off-road guy, so did local cross countries and some stuff like that, and they have a big rally in Australia called the Australian Safari. Used to do that. So I think when I was growing up, I would do a lot of riding in the woods or the bush, and then on an 85, they had I forget it was a state championship. I can't remember how many rounds, but I did 2 years of that on an 85, and that was good. It was just once you step like after those 2 years, I think I was on a 125, and there was no real races for what was I, maybe 13 to 15 years old. So it would have been the same series every year, and there was just more opportunity to race motocross at that age. So I kind of went away from off road and went into motocross, and then at 16, I think I did a 4-day enduro, which is same concept as a 6-day, just 4 days.
Yeah.
And then so I did that as soon as I had my driver's license, because you need that to ride on the road.
Sure.
I did that, and then I think the following year did a couple of senior off-road races, and then 2006 I did the full season, and then came to the US, did 2 GNCC races, and then 2007 I moved here. So it was a short off-road career in Australia, but I was 18 or 17, 18, and I was still living with my parents, so I was ready to get out, and the opportunity come to go see the world, so I took it.
Yeah, incredible. And I mean, coming over to the US to race 2 rounds of GNCC, you were young like that. I believe you had some support from, was it Glenn Kearney?
Yeah, so he was on the Suzuki team when we came, and I didn't know him from a bar of soap. I just contacted him through, back then I think we contacted each other through email.
Yeah.
Wasn't like Instagram or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he was open arms to help me out. He was like, "Oh yeah, come over." And he did tell me that Suzuki were actually looking for a young guy to put on their team to kind of groom up. So it was, in the end, I think it was between myself and Jesse Robinson, another guy that lives here in North Carolina. And yeah, he'd organised a bike. When we turned up, it was like brand new, like fanciest bike that I've ever ridden. And I know he just looked after me and the team. I think I did enough. My results weren't great, but I think my sprint speed was enough to show that I was capable of going fast enough. And the first one was Yadkinville, and I've never had blisters that big in my life. But I think the other good thing was, like, third lap or something, my hands were ripped to pieces, bleeding, but I didn't quit. So I think that was good. And then the next one was actually Unadilla, and I think from memory, I think it was pretty muddy. And I think for me, that was, again, another good thing was I just didn't quit. Like, I'm sure my result wasn't I didn't win the 250A class or anything. I think I got 4th maybe. But I think being able to just finish and have a solid result, I think that proved that I could learn and get better.
Yeah, you had speed and determination. I mean, I guess that's big for a team to look at and see. I forget what it was. I saw an interview with you where you were talking about that first race and how they just told you just go wide open until you can't anymore.
Yeah. Well, that was actually Glenn told me that.
Yeah.
Because I think he had he did the similar thing when he came over originally, maybe in 04, 03. I forget when he came over to try it out. I think Watsy may have told him the same thing. He's like, look, you're not going to be fit enough to race this race. Like we do, everyone did cross country in Australia, but the tracks are smooth.
Yeah.
Like there's not enough riders to make the tracks rough like they are here at GNCC. And I think GK knew that. And he's like, I was fit enough to do an hour and a half maybe, but it's the second hour and a half that was going to get me. And so that's what he said. He said, just go as hard as you can and show that you're fast enough, and then we'll see if that works. So that's what I did. I think I lasted about 3/4 of a lap. I mean, I finished the race, but it was definitely an eye opener. I like this at the end of the race. I was curled up in the backseat of the car. Old man was driving the rental to the motel or whatever, and it was a tough day.
I mean, how much did you know about GNCC before you came over? I mean, you must have, it's a huge series, you're aware of it, but back in 2006, I guess there was pretty good, stuff on YouTube by then. And you probably had an okay idea of what it was all about, but when you first showed up, did it take you a little by surprise, or?
I think everyone that comes to a GNCC, they're blown away by how big it is. And I think compared to 2006, like currently, the series is massive.
Yeah.
So anyone that turns up that thinks they know how big it is, they're like, man, this is crazy. And still sometimes we get to the race and you're like, geez, there's so many people here. It's unbelievable. And back in 2006, we kind of knew. I think really, yeah, we were blown away. My dad and I were blown away with how big and how just serious everything was, and that there was money behind it. And there was an opportunity to make a living at doing it. So I think that was the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think it was the same experience for me. I actually made it to my first GNCC this year to cover one at Hoosier, and same. I was like blown away. Is exactly like I think the words I used.
Yeah, and I mean the Hoosier is a good race, but you should go to Ironman.
Yeah,
Same
exactly.
place,
That's what everyone was like. Yeah, you got to come back for Ironman.
Yeah.
I want to, but I think it might overlap with ISDE. I think so, and I'm going to ISDEs.
No, it's the weekend after because I'll be at ISDE too. Yeah.
Okay. Oh shit! I'm gonna have to make that fly with management here at home.
Yeah.
Try and get down to that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So yeah, you came over. By 2010, obviously you're flying. You win the series. I know you had a broken leg along the way. Fairly serious injury. And then when that happened, your Suzuki team folded, kind of out from under you without, a lot of warning or any warning. And you were living in California at that point and came and raced, or stayed back west and raced Works.
Yeah. So once the Suzuki team folded up, it was so late in the year, so that the race I broke the leg was the last race of the season, and it was a makeup race, so it was middle of November, I think. So it was like 2 weeks later than normal. And I don't know. From memory, I was told I was good on the team, and you break the legs, you're in hospital, then they're like, oh yeah, the team's shutting up shop. You're pretty much screwed. And so I've got a broken leg. It's November. All the budgets are done.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky I had won the previous year. And I think it was also lucky that I was living in California at the time because I'd made a lot of contacts and just through the industry that was out there at the time. And I was able to put something together with Mike Herbert at RPM KTM.
Yeah.
He was able to scrape some stuff together for me. And they put me on the last carbureted 450, the KTM. And that was, to be honest, it was a dog. And I think if you asked the KTM guys, they felt bad for me at the time.
This is what we got.
Yeah, and I was racing Brownie, and he was on the new fuel injected 450. So I was like, anyway, and it was an experience. I enjoyed the Works. I wish I would have had a little bit better bike, and maybe my results might have been a little better. There was a couple of races where I got some podiums and stuff. I think that was back then when they were doing one moto on Saturday, one moto on Sunday.
Okay.
I think I won maybe a couple of motos, but no overalls. And I made it work for the year, and I was able to pay the bills. And then I realized that I wanted to be back east racing. So at the end of the year, I packed all my stuff up and moved back here and did my own deal with Rocky Mountain.
Yeah. Yeah, because I saw that you kind of came back as a privateer sort of situation, like running your own program with Kawasaki. If I'm right,
yeah, it wasn't. I had nothing to do. I was buying bikes at retail from dealerships.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, especially when you're coming back as a a year gap, but you were a champion. Like 2 years the year previously.
Yeah, it was hard.
A little bit of a.
And the reason I chose the Cowie that year was because their contingency was the best. So didn't have any factory contingency, so I was kind of just banking on what the manufacturer was paying, and the bike was decent, I think, at the time. And I think I bought 3 bikes that year, and was buying all the parts, and I had a lot of good sponsors that were helping with non-genuine product and that, so that was good. Yep. But yeah, that one was tough. I made enough money, but it was I spent pretty much everything I made that year just to get through. So the following year was with Rocky Mountain as well, but Randy at Empro, he stepped up with a lot of support as far as bikes and parts bonus, and then a mechanic, which that way I didn't have to pay mechanic and that sort of
huge
stuff. And so it was like I had almost the same income, but with his support. So it was a lot better in 2014.
Yeah, and then at that point too, you're starting to race ISDEs.
Yeah, well, I raced 2006 ISDE in New Zealand before I moved here, and then the first year at Suzuki, I did Chile, which was 2007.
Yep.
And then for some reason, the Suzuki guys kind of didn't really care much to do it. And I was the same. I was a kid. I was like, wow, well, I need to focus on GNCC racing and getting good results. And then so the first one after 2007 I did was 2012 on the KTM in Germany. And after I did that one, I was like, man, I wish I would have done them for the last 3 years. I would 8, 9, 10, 11. So the 4 years that I missed, I kind of wish I would have done them, because the walking sucks at 6 days, but once like the event and the camaraderie that you have with your team is always just, it's stuff that you never forget, like some of the best stories that you can tell. And the racing, especially in South America, like Argentina, Chile, it's not always the best, dry and shitty conditions, but the 6 days is definitely a one of a kind event that it's tough to miss. So yeah, I did 12, 13, 14, and I was slotted in to do 15, but I was in between my sports visa and green card.
Yep.
So I couldn't leave the country. Then was 15, 16, I went and made half a day and shattered my heel.
Right.
So
I was going to say that injury really had a big impact on you too. And I've seen you say, like, just researching for this, that you felt like in a lot of ways that injury was a lot worse for you than the broken leg.
Yeah, well, it took a long time to get better. It still gives me hell sometimes. So if I got to replace my shoes a lot more often now. And then if I stand up in the basement, like working on the bike for a day, if I have a bunch of bike work or something to do on concrete, the next day my foot will be just like, it gets better as the day goes on, but like getting out of bed, I have to hobble to the bathroom until it like warms up and it stretches out a bit. So just that one was a nightmare. It's probably a bigger nightmare because it was 2 weeks before my wedding. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So did you have like the little knee scooter going for your wedding?
Yeah. So knee scooter. Yeah. So.
Did you get a lot of crap from the wife?
She was upset at first, but I think we actually came out to the reception. She rode on the front of it, so it's kind of cool. It sucked to have it, but it was good value. Have to take the positive out of it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, tell me about what it was like to go to ISE and then win.
Yeah, so 2018. What was that? There's some conflicting stuff, like Motorcycling Australia is a little weird sometimes. I'm not exactly sure how it all works. There's politics there, obviously, in everything. So I think to be honest, I can't remember. But anyway, 18 was down in Chile, and there was Milner, Sanders, Linden, Snodgrass, and myself. And Milner had he already won? Maybe not. I think he'd podiumed overall at a 6 day, and Sanders was in a similar boat. So they were both top tier, especially at the ISDE. And I felt like I was a top 10 kind of guy overall. And then Linden was, I think it was maybe his second 6 day, and he was probably somewhere around where I should have been. And the first day went fine, and then Linden's sump plug fell out on day 2, and he seized his bike.
Oh.
So I don't know if they still have the drop one rider per day. I think they do. But so we were able to just drop Linden, but it was really just up to us three. We couldn't really have a bad day between the three of us. And Milner was on fire that year. I swear he won overall. But anyway, so it's him and Sanders that were top 5, I think, overall each day, which made it easy. So I just kind of made sure I didn't, because I really wasn't a fan that the special tests down there were hard pack and dry, dusty. So I was not really enjoying it much. So I was just putting in the times that we needed really to keep the gap. And I think we kept extending it each day. And I don't know, it was fun. The last day was cool. Then the after party and all that sort of stuff is always
that's
good.
Always good times, especially as winners, right?
Yeah, it is. It's good. I mean, I wish there was, for us at least, I wish there was some type of incentive or bonus involved in winning. There isn't, but at the same time, it's still a cool accomplishment to win the ISDE the team trophy. So it's like I said, the 6-day is a pain to go to, but then once you go to and get completed with it, you're like, man, that was an experience, and I would go again. So
yeah, I'm so excited. I'm going with the Canadian team, and going to spend the full 2 weeks, like walk the test, get to know everything, and really work it in. And
I'll give you some advice. I would maybe walk 1 or 2 tests and then just go do something else, because that's really the worst part of the event is walking.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I think there's I was talking to some of the people and I was like, well, maybe got to take 1 day as a culture day, like away from walking tests, and sample wines and all that stuff in Spain. So that'll be good. Pretty excited about that. So you come back, COVID hits, hits everybody in the racing world. That's fine. Keep racing. You were at that point, you've been racing on Husqvarna for a while. And
so it's Husqvarna from 15 to the end of 18. So the 6-day actually on the Husky was the last race I think I did for Husky. So it was cool to win the 6-day, and I actually have the bike in the basement.
Cool.
So so I was able to get that, which is pretty special. It's empty. The motor's empty and that. So it's probably the lightest 450 I've ever had. But
put some pedals on that thing.
So then I went to the Cowie team, which was new. They had the new 450 come out in 19, and they came together with Babbitt's and Kawasaki and started up a off-road team, and I was happy to be a part of that at the beginning. So I felt like I put Cowie back on the map off-road wise, and had good results there, and thought I was home there anyway. I thought I would be there till the end of my career, but that's how things go.
Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Yeah. And then this year you put together a program with Sherco.
Yeah, this was like I said, the Cowie deal was, I don't know, blindsided a little. So I was trying to scramble and find some stuff, and it took a little while to figure it all out. And I was able to do a deal with Sherco, try to do the same thing I did at Cowie, like prove that the bike's capable of doing well, and make people want to race the bike in the US, because obviously it's a different bike it's an enduro type bike, not a motocross bike like I had been on in the past, and like majority of the XC1 guys are on. We've had to figure out a few things, but I feel like now it's a competitive bike, and it's been good.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, talking to Rachel Goodish in the podcast many episodes ago, I think she was actually our first guest. That was her thing. She's like, hey, it's I think similar sort of situation. She kind of was scrambling a little bit, with some unexpected stuff. Got onto the Sherco program, and she was just saying like, my job is just put this thing on the box like as much as I can and drive interest in it, and have a good time.
Yeah, and that's the same with me. For me, it's a little harder to just put it on the box. This last 2 years, our classes, or not even our class, just both XC1 and XC2 class have stepped up to a level that you just can't just put it on the box. So it takes a lot of work, and you got to have a good day to get up there. And this year's been difficult, and we finally got the bike figured out, and I feel like just got to just got to pick the right time, and I think we'll be able to get up there anyway.
Oh, that's awesome. So, and then, I noticed a couple of weeks ago that you were all of a sudden Sherco Canada was saying that you were coming up to do FMSQ here in Canada. And so for people who don't know, and I don't know how much you knew about it, but FMSQ is the Canadian equivalent really of GNCC, same format, same style of racing, big fields, maybe not as big as FMSQ, but still big fields. And yeah, just full on cross country long races, quads on Saturday to chew up the track and beat it to hell.
Yeah, so Guy from Sherco Canada, I've known him since 2007. So he used to hang out with Glenn and Watty down here in North Carolina, and I don't really remember ever talking to him, but I remember him being around and riding with him when he would come down for the first couple of races.
Yeah, and
I swear I've seen him every year since. And I think I say g'day and maybe a small conversation, but never really had a whole lot to do with him until I signed with Sherco, and then we talked quite a bit back and forth in regards to some things because he's kind of a moto guy as well. Yeah. That's what I feel like to get the bike set up. If you can get it working on a motocross track, for us, I think you get pretty close to where it will work well at a GNCC. So we talked quite a bit over the winter. And we talked about coming up for a race, and then last minute he told me about it. I'm like, yeah, let's figure something out. So we booked a plane ticket and came up. And I noticed when he was sending me the airfare, like when we were trying to figure out what flight to take, all this stuff was in French. And I'd heard about French Canadians, and I had no idea that it was that French in Quebec. Yeah,
yeah. Because when we were messaging a little bit, you're like, I don't know what to expect. And I was like, GNCC, north of the border, very French.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I just thought there was like a little pocket of French speaking Canadians, but it's actually a whole state or
province.
Province. Yeah. But no, the series itself was really good, put together really well. Very similar to a GNCC, like you said. And honestly, I had a blast. Everyone was really welcoming. And the race itself, the track itself was actually really fun. There was one section that I really didn't like, but I don't think anyone did there. It was like maybe a mile, 2 miles long, 2Ks long or something like that. The race had ran both ways on during the weekend, and it just got like square edge stuff that you couldn't kind of get away from. So it was just beat up, and I was like, this bit sucks. But the rest, the 80% of the rest of the track was like a lot of fun. So I had a good time.
Well, it was cool too. You didn't just have a good time; you actually had a good time and won the thing. And you beat Alex Goujon, who's he's going to be racing Canadian men's trophy team this year. In second place, he's a Husky rider here, fast. I was really pleased to see how competitive he was with you. And then some of the other guys, Owen McKill's a junior on our junior team. He was fifth in this one. It was just interesting to watch the Canadians who, have been down to GNCC here and there, and then see, using you as a reference to, GNCC times. It was interesting to see where people might stack up down south if they were racing regularly in the GNCC.
Yeah, it was good to race Alex there for a bit. So it was, like I said, I didn't really know what to expect. I know when someone like myself would go to, whether it be Canada or Sweden or Japan, to do a one-off race, the locals always want to do their best to try and either keep up or beat whoever it is that goes, So I knew that was there, and especially being just like a smaller series, I'm sure all the supporters were rooting for Alex. Yeah. But for me, it was fun. Like, I enjoyed it. I didn't have to push super hard. There was a couple of times where I tried to just break away from Alex, and I was able to, and then we'd catch into the single track choppy shit where I'd catch up to some lappers and he'd catch back up. I'm like, well, that was a waste of time. But I think like 2 laps of that, I think I'd broken, like I'd kind of put him in the red enough where he just was kind of gassed. So for me, I enjoyed it, and then my fuel stop was absolutely I don't know, Guy lost the fuel tank or something, the quick fill at the last race, so we had to borrow one, and it wouldn't. When we were putting the gas in, it wasn't letting any air out, so it wouldn't let the fuel go in. So we were having a hell of a time with that, and anyway, I lost the lead in the pit stop, which I was fine with because it made the race go quicker, and I had some fun. Like, I had to push hard to catch back up, and then I followed him for about a lap, and then he made a mistake and crashed. So then when he crashed, I put on a charge to put a gap, and then it was I was able to control it from there. So it was definitely fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
And when they interviewed you, did they translate immediately to French, like as you were up on the box and they're asking you questions, or?
Yeah, so there was one lady that spoke good English, and she interviewed me, and then she would translate into French. I think we did like an interview on Facebook Live or something like that, and then we went to the podium as well. So, no, it was good.
Yeah, did you eat some poutine or anything like that?
Yeah. So poutine and smoked meat.
Oh, very good. Yeah. I mean, great choices, especially, in Quebec.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
It was post race too, and it was like perfect. I was like, that was delicious. So
I would have that again.
Yeah. So I don't know if I would have it before the race, but definitely after the race, it was good.
That would be a terrible decision. I think you would be pulled over more than once.
Yeah.
So that's so cool. Is it something you would consider doing again?
Yeah, I would love to do it again. Like that, like I said, that track was a lot of fun. Sure, it would have been nice to be a little bit longer. I think 16-minute lap times at a 2.5-hour race. I think we did 9 laps, so it gets a little repetitive. But as far like I said, the sand section and the new section they put in was I had a blast. And I'd love to come back, for sure, and maybe do, if there was some like back-to-back weekends or something like that, it'd be nice to do 2, come up and do 2. But no, I would definitely come back up if there was an opportunity.
Yeah, you just we gotta be kicking Guy's ass at Sherco Canada and make it happen.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I was able to sell him some bikes, and that way he can invite me back up next year.
Well, it's funny, you had said before the race that he'd been putting a little pressure on you, so you feel like you met expectations there, I guess.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was putting some pressure on me. It was. I mean, like I said, I'm not one to fall for, I guess, peer pressure or pressure like that. I always like I said, I come up there and everyone wants to beat me.
Yeah.
So I was going up to have fun. Like I said, I didn't know what to expect. If the whole race was that square edge chop and I really didn't like the whole track, then Alex may have beat me, because I really I'm in the summer break. I want to have fun and just kind of relax a little bit, and to go do a race that was fairly high intensity is something that I probably wouldn't normally do during the summer. But so the first thing I wanted to do was go have fun.
Yeah.
And really what I've learned over the years is to sell. My job is to sell product.
Absolutely.
So if I wasn't to win, but I still had a good time and put on a good display for Sherco Canada, then I feel like I would have done my job. And Guy would have been happy either way, But obviously I want to win, but you can't win every race, and so that's why you have to be marketable and be able to sell the product that we're asked to sell,
Yeah. Have you heard from Guy since the race, or?
A little bit back and forth. They sent me home with some maple syrup, like a can of maple syrup. So I sent him my boys had maple syrup on some French toast yesterday. So I sent him a photo of that, and we'd talk back and forth a little bit. But
yeah, he's not giving you like a commission on any bike sales for the next month in Quebec or anything like that.
No, he can keep
cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know. We touched earlier a little bit on career longevity, and, you talked a little about that, and, you said, in terms of what the secret is, like obviously, learning to have I mean, really, it sounded like work-life balance between work as a professional rider and then life. And especially, you know, you've got a young family now. You've got what, 2 boys now?
Yeah, 2 boys, Maverick and Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, the reason everyone starts riding a motorcycle in the first place is because it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to enjoy it. Your parents don't go buy their kid bikes because they're going to be a motocross champion or a off-road champion, and they don't bank all their life savings on that. Well, I mean, I sure hope not. And I mean, the original plan, once you buy a dirt bike, is to go and have fun, enjoy, whether it be the outdoors or riding in the woods, riding on a practice track, or even going racing. You know, you're supposed to have fun. I think that's a big thing in having a long career, is you have to keep it fun, especially with off-road. Like, none of us are making millions. I don't care what other people say on podcasts. No one's making that much money, and so you have to enjoy it. I'm able to pay the bills and put a little bit of money in the bank, and like, besides that, I need to, like, that's why I've kept going for so long, is because I make sure it's fun. There was a couple of stages there towards the end of my run with Husky where I was just, I'd looked into other jobs. I'd called some other places to see if there was options to come and work there and just quit racing, just because I wasn't enjoying it. And once I moved to the Kawasaki side of thing, the fun started coming back, and that's what I realized. You have to enjoy it, have fun, and the racing put a smile on your face, pretty much.
Yeah, and that's so cool. I mean, being able to do something you're still passionate about, you can make a living at it and just keep going. I mean, that's crazy. That's the dream for most people, right?
Yeah, and it's, yeah.
I mean, and doing something cool, like, let's not lie, dirt bikes are super cool. So
yeah, they are. And I mean, they've taken me some cool places, and I mean, I wouldn't change any of it, to be honest.
yeah.
So but yeah, I definitely make sure I keep there's a balance that I have, and I like to keep it fun.
Yeah, not like those Reardon guys. They don't keep it fun at all.
yeah.
Just sidetracking. We'll come back to this a little bit, but you said, you know, the bike is taking you to some fun places. And you talked earlier that the dream initially had been MXGP. What about Europe for things like Enduro GP? Is that on the horizon at all, or something you'd like to try? Or
not for me now. I'm 36. Like, quite a ways into my career. Originally it was MXGP, and then the option what I wanted to do was either GNCC, and if it didn't work out, I wanted to try World Enduro.
Yeah.
And the path came this way towards the US, and there's been no real reason for me to head towards Europe or try that option. And honestly, I watched quite a bit of the stuff on YouTube, and it doesn't look that fun. Like, like, for me, that just the riding that I do, I would much rather get on a beat to shit moto track or a woods track and be able to find lines and race another guy.
Yeah.
Like, not always race the clock. Like, I swear 75% of their races are just hard packed, dusty, shitty, rocky track. And I'm like, that's not fun. Like, that's why I would hang the boots up, is if I was always riding that. And I mean, today I got done riding. I went out this morning, jumped on the tractor and tilled up our motocross track.
Yeah.
Perfect dirt, like some fun jumps, not many bumps today, but it was like I had a blast. So I think the only people I could get riding with me today was a 85 kid, a 65 kid, and my son who's on a 50. So, but it's like those boys had fun. I went out there, I did my work, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. And then, I just don't, like, the GNCC is more appealing to me, and I'm definitely happy I went that direction, instead of like World Enduro.
Cool. So kind of kicking back towards longevity and training, and then that work-life balance. So what does training look like for you now as a 36-year-old pro off-road racer?
It's a lot less dirt bike time.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, I rode today. So I raced Sunday, then traveled back Monday. I rode today mainly just to keep the edge, keep kind of sharp, and I might ride this weekend. But being the summer break, I'd tend to ride a little less. But I really enjoy bicycle riding, so I'll probably during the summer I'll be doing that maybe 4 days a week or something like that.
Road riding or?
Yeah, mostly road, just road or gravel.
Yeah.
The mountain bike, I do enough riding in the woods on the dirt bike.
Yeah, I was going to say, even though, I mean, North Carolina is amazing for mountain biking, but for what you do.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to keep it fun. So if I'm not enjoying doing mountain biking, then there's no point, because then you just hate training. And to be honest, I love bicycle riding. So when I do go mountain biking, I'm like, man, I need to do more of that. But it's just not what I prefer, the road bike or a gravel bike. And so right now that's a lot of that. And then there's a couple of days, maybe 1 or 2 days a week in the gym, nothing crazy. Do a lot of gym in the off season, before this, so pre-season, off season, just because then you can just have a break doing everything else. So you spend the time in the gym, man.
Yeah. Well, I guess at this point too, you've got so many years of experience on the bike that it's more about recovery now and just maintaining like the fitness versus developing skill, or, you want to keep an edge, but.
Yeah. For me now, I feel like getting up to race conditioning, having race conditioning, like to do the 3 hours, I think for me is quite easy. Sure, there is the races that are hard, but I have to work on my intensity for the 3 hours, which is more difficult now than it used to be. So having the young kids around like Gus, Lyndon, Will to an extent, even though he's gypsying around the country, so like having those guys where when you're a kid, you just sometimes they don't switch their mind off, but there's no risk. They just hold it wide open. So for me, if we go out and moto, if I want to be close to those guys, I have to get on that edge. And I believe that's what's kept me competitive over the last couple of years, is starting to ride with those guys. So, yeah. But besides that, it's like recovery. Like I said, I have to watch how much stuff I actually do on the dirt bike, because it really beats you up. Like the older you get.
Well, it's funny. Yeah. When Will was on the show, he talked about that, like learning how to rest has been a big key for him.
Yeah. He had a big problem with that early.
What was I going to say? Have you been talking to Gus about ISDE and now that he's going? And
we talked briefly right around Snowshoe, but then he went to Australia.
Yeah.
So he got back yesterday, I think. So I haven't seen him yet.
Great ride at Hatta.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
That was cool. And then he's off to GP Wales shortly. I mean, he must be leaving in the next week or two for that.
Yeah, I think that's why he came back so early, was to organise some stuff for that, and then he'll be off to do that. So he's someone that, because he likes that extreme kind of, those extreme looking tests. I think he does well at that sort of stuff. So I think he'll enjoy it, where I'm not. I couldn't care less for the extreme tests. They look like, I like riding that stuff. Like if Will, not necessarily Will because he's extreme, but if we like us boys go out to, we have a place, Brushy Mountain or Brown Mountain here, about an hour from us. If we go out there, it's fun to hill climb and ride the rocks and that sort of stuff as a group. But as far as racing it goes, not really into it.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see how Gus does over there. Like just looking at how he rode the enduro cross courses at the ones he was at last year, and I mean, he's a fast kid, no question.
Yeah, just what it's like jumping into any series. Halfway through, I think
it's tough.
There's guys that are going to be on. I mean, they're still racing. They had a race last weekend, and I think they have is the next one Wales?
Yeah,
or is there one in between?
I think it's Wales is next.
Yeah, so I mean, they've been raced. They don't have a break, so. It is different. Gus's last sprint would have been before snowshoe.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So like a
so
month
I
ago
mean,
now.
and like he'd been doing the Hatter stuff, which is definitely, I think, even I've never done it, but I would imagine a little less intense than a GNCC. So he's
Yeah.
probably out of practice a little bit on the sprint stuff, but I think he's fast. He's scary fast. So
Yeah. He likes to send it too.
yeah,
Like just watching him in the air and how he likes to get up there. It's like, whoa. Where are we? Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that I always like to talk about and ask about is for kids. I mean, Gus is still a kid, but not really, but for like the kids, who are coming up, maybe like that YXC2 age in GNCC, are coming into that and, they're going fast. They want to try and do something. When you look at the state of pro off-road racing now versus when you started, what's some of the advice that you would give to kids who are getting to kind of like that 10 to 13-year-old age who are thinking like, oh, I really want to give this a go?
I don't. It's hard because yeah, like I don't spend a lot of time with any kids in that. Hang on, in that
Yep.
mini. Hang on, sorry. I think the Wi-Fi is pulling. Is it still? Am I buffering? Are we good?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Oh, we good. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So with the kids, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure. There's a fine line of either like committing too much when it's maybe not worth it, and like I
Yeah.
said, as far like even for me, it's all about having fun. So I
Yeah.
think like kids like that, they're not getting paid.
No.
You need to enjoy it. You can't be coming in and being pissy or mad because you have a bad result. I think really you need to enjoy the ride, especially while your parents are footing the bill, and try and have as much fun as you can. And I mean, as far as getting better, if you're an off-road kid, I would say do as much motocross as you can.
Yeah.
Like legit moto, like go ride with kids that are like fast super mini kids or fast 85 kids that
The kids who
do
are going to
massive.
Loretta's and
Yeah. That would be my advice because you once you know how to ride in the woods, you're good to go. But once you get that kid that can ride moto and also rides in the woods, who can go fast when he wants to go fast, and you're used to like riding through the woods smooth, or you don't have that sprint speed. That's when that'll separate those kids. I think is the ones that can race in the woods well, but also race motocross. I think that's the big thing for off-road kids.
And then in terms of the business of things, like, the industry, like you talk about how GNCC has grown, it's becoming more, it's like this huge business now. The big teams are there, even at the lower levels of it, like the rigs that I see are just in the team setups are crazy. If you're trying to get noticed, obviously results matter, right? But if you tie it back to that having fun, do you think like things like that will catch a potential sponsor's eye or a brand's eye? Like if you can be fast and be having a good time, or?
Yeah, I think there's a common. It all works together. Like obviously you need to be fast, but there's an attitude.
Well, I think you said it where you say like your job is to, you race bikes in order to support these brands' marketing and sales efforts.
Yeah, that's true. But like as far as if it's a kid trying to get a ride, or there's
Yeah.
the attitude that a kid comes across. There's a lot of kids that have too cool, too big, like a big ego. I don't know where it comes from, but it's not just one kid. I can think of a lot of kids that like have this chip on their shoulder, or they're too good for some people. Like for some people, and really they're still on minis. It's like, come on, boys, you've got a long way to go before you make it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing when it comes to especially our series is well, it's big, but it's also so small that you piss off someone, that the word gets around, or if you're not a bad kid, if you're like a loudmouth or a kid that plays
Sure.
up a bit, it'll get around. And so, I mean, it's not, you don't have to be like a goody goody, but you got to have respect for everyone. Like treat the kids that you're racing against, the kids that you're lapping, like treat everyone with respect, or treat them how you want to be treated. And there's definitely people that are bigger than them that act more professional than they probably do, or something like that. I don't know. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think results are a big thing. Their attitude and character is also. So one of the kids woke up from a nap. We got YouTube playing.
No worries.
No, it's all good.
As the industry is always going to evolve, and there's all these rumors out there about, big brands and their budgets and changes that might be coming. Where do you see the future of the sport being for professional riders? Do you think it's something that's going to expand? I mean, off-road's got such a huge economic base. And you think that's something there's going to be more budget coming to off-road, or is it always going to be a bit of a struggle on that side?
To be honest, I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle always. I don't know why. Well, I know why, because Supercross and motocross get TV time, and that's where the dollars go. And unfortunately, that's just how it is. Sure, I don't know. I wouldn't know the percentages, but majority of people ride off-road. They buy their parts to go ride off-road or race off-road. But I don't think the budgets will get bigger. I think they'll stay similar. And it all depends on their economic. I don't know how all that stuff works. It's like there's a lot of talk now that times are tough, but there's still a shit ton of people coming to the race. They're still buying all this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the KTM group ruined the market as far as bike sales goes, because after COVID, I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure after COVID they just flooded the market because someone is sitting behind a computer looking at all the sales. They don't ride dirt bikes. Like they don't understand how it works. Like people buy a bike. Majority of people probably buy a bike and keep it for 2 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's not every person buys one bike every year. So I hope the person who decided KTM needed X amount of bikes after they had that big, the massive sales, I hope that person, whoever decided they needed the same amount of bikes the following year, I hope he got fired. Because there was a big problem, and I don't know exactly if it was the KTM group. I'm sure all the brands ordered more bikes, but they should have realized that this shit's not going to be sustainable. Like people aren't buying this many bikes every single year. It's like
there was a big pent up demand.
Yes,
after COVID,
and it doesn't happen. Like someone was a moron, whether it be one person or a bunch. It was like it just. And that I think that's the problem we're having now is everyone's got so many bikes that they're just sitting on. So then the manufacturer are telling the riders, times are tight, we got to cut back. And I'm pretty sure it's because there's bikes, they're not selling bikes to the dealers because the dealers can't sell them because they flooded the market. I know it's not the KTM group because I think Cowie blowing out 24 models already.
Yeah.
Like their new 450 24 models I've seen, they just must have had too many of them. And I really think it's people behind the computer. They don't own a dirt bike. They just work for the company. And all they do, they went to college for whatever the hell you do college for to sell shit. Like clearly I didn't go to college. So, but it's like someone went there, they go through the number, however it works, how many sales. Oh yeah, look, this year they did this. Next year it should be more. When really you're like, well, I actually ride a motorbike and I'm not going to buy a bike next year. So maybe we should. I don't know. That's my opinion. I could be completely wrong.
No, that's fair.
That's what I think at the moment is the problem. We're getting told that the the business is slow, but it's just that the market got flooded.
Yeah. So, kind of transitioning from that, and we're coming up on an hour here, and I don't want to keep you too long. I know you got kids waking up from naps. What does the future look like for you? You're 36, you're racing, you're having fun still.
Yeah, 36. So just recently, maybe a month or two ago, my plan is to do 20 years or try and do 20 years. So
awesome.
I have a 2-year deal right now. So next year would put me at 19 years. And the following year, I would like to either do, because I mean, it's like I said, this year has been tough results wise. And you don't want to just go out and race for 10th place or 9th place. Like I want to be competitive. And so, I mean, I can do another year. I've signed up for another year and that's what I want to do. And then I would like to do a 20th year, whether it be a full season or maybe some select events. And then I would be happy to be done racing professionally. And as far as plans, I mean, the goal would be to try and help build the Sherco brand and have a team that we have some good guys racing and can get podiums, wins, and a championship, and that's the plan. But right now, that's just a plan. So I have nothing concrete or anything. But as far as
you haven't
racing
thought about
goes,
you haven't thought about going back to the family business in Australia?
Yeah, I have. It's a long way.
It is a long way from North Carolina.
My wife, she's American, and honestly, I've been here, like I said, 18 years. I left when I was 18, so
you're even.
I've split my time here, and this is home for me right now. If the opportunity came up and Cameron wanted to go back there, then maybe we'd think about it. But right now, I'm happy here. If I want to stay in the industry, this is the place to be. It's like I don't think anywhere else in the world you can make a living. I make a good living racing and or helping run a team or do something like that. And the more my kids grow up, the more I realize that this GNCC and same with the FMSQ, it's like it's a family sport. It's not football or soccer where one kid gets to play and the rest of us sit on the sideline. Everyone is involved. I've learned to like that more and more. Like when we first had our first kid, I'm like, I don't want him to race. Like I grew up doing it. Let's do something else. But now that he's into it and wants to do it, and you go to the race and you're just like, this shit's fun. Like it's fun.
It's wicked. And he sees dad doing it and
So I don't know. Australia, I don't know.
Well, there you go. Have you got Sherco thinking about making a 50?
I don't know. It's not a bad idea.
Kids. Yeah. Get the kids going.
It'd be nice to get them on a full range.
Yeah.
Like a 50, 65, 85.
Yeah.
Then that way you can start a kid from, I mean, that's what KTM has done so good, They get on the 50 and they're a KTM rider for life.
Yeah. Yeah. They're orange through and through.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think that's how they've got so much of the market.
Yeah. Well, look, man, it's been awesome having you come and talk a little bit. It's been really interesting. I mean, you're a legend in the GNCC world, in the off-road world. And, I know when, before you came up to FMSQ, when that came out, there were so many people in off-road, at least here in Western Canada, that were really stoked about that. And I think you'd be surprised how many people were paying attention.
Yeah. Well, no, that's cool. Like I said, I got treated really well there.
Quebec's awesome.
Yeah, it was and I would go back. So everyone treated me great. I didn't expect not to get treated good, but definitely better than I thought I was going to. And I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, man. And I'm hoping to make it to another GNCC or two this year. And if we do, definitely I'll have to bring a beer by the pits and drop one off for you. After racing.
Yeah.
But no, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was really interesting hearing your perspective, like someone who's been around racing so long.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. It's it's been a wild ride. And like I said, I wouldn't change. I mean, sure, I would take some of the injuries away, but that it's part of the sport, and then that's their stories as well.
Totally.
Like, I mean, the leg, having the broken leg, then the team fold up, like that was an issue. Then Spain having the heel right before the wedding, like that's a story that you can tell forever.
I'd love to see that picture of you riding in with her on the bars.
I'll send it to you. I'll send you the picture on Instagram. I'll shoot it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's
and
awesome.
then like my arm, the last injury, my arm, it's like it didn't heal, and I had to have a complete. It's almost like they re-broke my arm to have it fixed. It's like it's like without those things, it just what would a career be without the injury or the story to tell?
Without the adversity, right?
Yeah. So now it's I wouldn't change it for the world,
Awesome. Well, on that, we'll leave it. So again, thank you. And it was awesome talking to you, man.
Yeah. All right. No worries. Thank you.
Cheers. That was awesome, man. Thank you.